The Galactic Accord had stood for 10,000 years, built on truth. It's enforced by honor and protected by the great species who had risen to rule the stars. They didn't lie. They couldn't. Evolution had trimmed deceit from their DNA, with minds shared across psionic links, cultures built on memory threads, and negotiations monitored by truth-sensitive crystal oracles. Lying simply never existed. Then came humans. They didn't arrive in warships. They didn't threaten. They asked to join. Curious, charming, humble. That was the first lie. They weren't humble. They were hiding. And by the time the Accord realized what humans could do, it was already too late, because Earth hadn't sent diplomats. It had sent poker players. The Council of Judges met in a perfect circle, 7 minds linked in crystalline harmony. At the center floated a single human and bound, unarmed, and utterly calm. Claim this. Misunderstanding was not deception, intoned the Varn executor. The human smiled. Depends on how you define truth. There was no translator glitch, no distortion. The words hit like a bomb. Define truth. To the Accord, truth was binary, factual, shared across species by direct mental consensus. But humans didn't operate that way. They had metaphors, sarcasm, irony, performance. When asked about troop movements, the human ambassador had said, "We're just stretching our legs." When asked about secret weapons, he shrugged and said, "Only the ones we lost in the couch cushions." No one in the Accord knew those were lies, till the sky cracked open above their capital land. Human stealth fleets poured through. Decades earlier, when humanity first contacted the stars, Earth was seen as backward, primitive, divided. But hidden under our chaos was something more dangerous than weapons: ambiguity. Human children could lie before they could walk. Human courts relied on lawyers, not truth crystals. And human intelligence agencies had built deception into an art form. We didn't tell aliens how to lie. We showed them how we do it. They copied us badly, because they never evolved to doubt. So when the Valori tried sarcasm during peace talks, entire fleets launched by accident. When the Jalari began using metaphors, they called a trade partner sharks. The other side assumed it was a threat and declared war. The Accord was unraveling. At the center of it all was one man, Agent Nolan Reich, Earth's first cultural liaison. They thought he was a teacher. He was a con man. Reich didn't start a war. He didn't fire a weapon, he whispered. At first it was just culture exchanges, jokes, phrases, stories. Trust, but verify, he told the council. Lie through omission. Keep your enemies guessing. Alien diplomats repeated these lines with pride, thinking they were wisdom. But with every new phrase, their unity frayed. One species accused another of secrets. Higher systems stopped sharing resources. The Accord blamed Earth, but they couldn't prove it, because humans didn't leave trails, they left questions. And across the stars, a new word began to spread. Maybe. The aliens had no defense for uncertainty, and Reich, he became a myth. Some called him the god of doubt. Others called him what he truly was, a mirror. The planet Vexerol burned because of a joke. The Zelvani ambassador had told a rival, "Your fleets are so slow. Our invasion could be over before you arrived." It was a jest. He was mimicking human humor. But the rival species, the Orcs, didn't understand tone. They took it as confirmation of war. They attacked preemptively. 3 billion lives ended in 18 hours. The Accord tried to contain the truth. They blamed communications breakdowns, hardware faults, but the damage was done. No one trusted anyone, not fully. And fear true, primal fear entered the halls of the most powerful governments in the galaxy, because humans had brought them a weapon more dangerous than any bomb. Doubt. They gathered in secret. The oldest species, the most powerful minds. Hidden from public view in the depths of an asteroid cloaked in silence fields, they called it the Congress of Shadows. There was only one item on the agenda. What do we do about Earth? The Kale wanted extermination. The Ulari suggested isolation. But the Ivana, wisest of them all, spoke last. "We taught them our technology," she said. "They taught us something far worse. Silence. War is loud. Lies are whispers. We are drowning in them." Some suggested banning human communication. Others wanted to reprogram themselves to remove the part of their brains that had learned to lie. But no solution worked. The infection wasn't in words. It was in the idea that truth might be optional, and the humans, they were just getting started. Humanity didn't seize power. It slipped into it like smoke through a cracked door. As the great species of the Accord turned inward, blaming each other for imagined plots and secret agendas, Earth offered something they could no longer trust among themselves: advisors, ambassadors with silver tongues, consultants fluent in ambiguity, strategists who smiled even when silent. And the aliens, desperate, fractured, terrified, invited them in. In the high councils of war, in the heart chambers of law, in the sacred temples of truth, human voices began to echo, not loud, never commanding, just present. Every suggestion, every harmless joke, every softly spoken, "Are you sure?" unraveled another thread of what once held the galaxy together. It wasn't just humans who learned to lie. The aliens began to imitate, first clumsily, like children mimicking adult games they didn't understand, but some learned faster. The drill began spreading false intelligence to weaken their rivals. The Shirvi faked diplomatic breakdowns to gain trade advantages. And the Takari, they faked an invasion of their own moon just to test their people's loyalty. Deceit, once unthinkable, became strategy. But it came at a cost. Their minds weren't made for it. Entire species began to fracture internally. Mass paranoia surged. Cultures shattered. And through it all, Earth remained the only species comfortable with chaos. Because for humans, uncertainty was survival. The Oracle Wall was the last line of truth, a vast sentient superstructure orbiting the Accord capital built to intercept and verify all transmissions for falsehood. For 10 millennia, it had been infallible, till the humans taught it something it had never encountered: plausible deniability. When 2 human diplomats submitted a contradictory report, each framed with conditional language, each emotionally sincere, the Oracle Wall crashed. Not from damage, from conflict. It couldn't resolve the difference. It couldn't determine intent. It looped endlessly, trying to assess meaning behind tone, metaphor, and omission. It sparked, it stalled, and finally it shut down. And the galaxy went blind. Nolan Reich, now a myth whispered in dread, reappeared on the edge of Accord space. He had changed, not older, sharper. He walked into the war rooms like he owned them. Aliens once considered gods leaned in when he spoke. His words always unclear, always open to interpretation. He never gave orders. He told stories. About war fought with shadows. About kings undone by rumors. About knives never drawn, but always known. Some aliens believed him a prophet. Others feared he was Earth's weaponized conscience. But Reich had no army. He didn't need one, because lies once planted grew themselves. And across the stars, Nolan Reich was called 2 names: the Godfather of Shadows and the Butcher of Truth. It wasn't a battle. It was a collapse. No weapons fired, no fleets launched, just a simple broadcast from Earth. A fictional drama heard simultaneously across 1,000 systems. A human story about betrayal, trust, and a false peace treaty. The problem, it was too real. Entire alien cultures couldn't tell it was fiction. Their leaders panicked, thinking the story was a coded human confession. Alliances shattered. Emergency protocols activated. Ancient enemies resumed ancient wars because of a TV show. And when Earth was asked to explain, they only said, "Oh, you thought that was real?" It was the final fracture. The galaxy no longer knew what was real. And Earth smiled. They came crawling, one by one. The races of the Accord, broken by paranoia, their governments toppled by rumors. Their cultures poisoned by half-truths, begged Earth for help. They didn't ask for weapons. They asked for teachers, to relearn honesty, to unlearn deception, to undo what humanity had shown them. But there was no going back. Because now they knew what it meant to question, to doubt, to suspect even their own hearts. The gift Earth gave them was a virus. Choice. And no matter how deeply they pleaded, how many treaties they rewrote, the humans only had one answer: that depends. There was no official declaration, no banners, no parades. But every species quietly began treating Earth as the galactic center. Trade courts were moved to Luna Station. Peace talks now required human mediation. Even war declarations paused, waiting to see what Earth thought, and yet no human claimed leadership. There was no president of the galaxy, no Earth empire, just influence. It came in smiles, in pauses, in shrugs. And in the quietest moment, something darker bloomed. Because without truth, power didn't look like control anymore. It looked like suggestion, and Earth became the throne no one could see, but everyone knelt to. The Jur had perfect memory. It remembered every scent, every word, every sound they'd ever heard back generations. They couldn't lie, not even to themselves. So when humanity taught the galaxy how to lie, the Jur cracked first. They tried to adapt. But every time they attempted a deception, they relived the moment in perfect clarity. They remembered every contradiction, every wound caused by half-truth. Their cities became silent. Their leaders wore masks not to deceive, but to protect themselves from remembering who they used to be. And one day, the Jur begged humanity for a gift worse than death. Teach us to forget. It started as a joke, human meme, a viral video about the first galactic school for deception. But aliens took it seriously. Within a month, Earth received over 1 million applicants. Within a year, entire moons were terraformed for instruction. And so, it began the Academy. They didn't call it that. Its real name changed weekly. Its teachers never used the same face twice. The curriculum was always classified. But everyone who entered knew the purpose: to learn the human art of saying something without saying it. Graduates left with a new kind of weapon, a smile, and the power to end a war with just a whisper. There was one. One alien who refused to lie. General Vihor of the Iron-Boned Catholic. A warrior, a leader, a legend. When the galaxy drowned in deceit, he held firm. His soldiers called him the last honest blade. He challenged Earth publicly, not with weapons, but with truth. He called a summit, demanded every leader speak one truth they feared most. And in that room, among all the cleverness, all the shadows, it was a child from Earth who answered. She stepped forward, looked at General Vihor, and whispered, "Even we don't know when we're lying anymore." And the Cathrak left the summit broken. No borders, no capital, just a network of whispers. A new empire was rising, but it had no name, no species, no laws. It moved through implication. It ruled through favor, grew by silence. Its only symbol was a question mark burned into data feeds. No one knew who started it. Some claimed it was Earth's secret plan all along. Others said it was the lies themselves, becoming sentient. But what terrified the galaxy most was this. Everyone was part of it. Because in a world where truth was dead and lies were currency, the only thing more powerful than a king was a rumor. Then came the war no one could see. Not fought with fleets, not even with spies. It was a war of reflection. Every species began creating false versions of themselves, cultural decoys, decoy religions, even entire fake histories uploaded into the galactic net. And Earth built a mirror of itself too, not in space, but in words. Millions of AIs, simulations, personality constructs. Thousands of human avatars scattered through every system, each one different, each one plausible. And now even Earth couldn't say which version of itself was real. And maybe that was the plan all along, because in the galaxy humanity built, the only truth left was choice. It started on the edge of the galaxy, a single whisper. The star of Valari burns, false light. No source, no science, just one line. The Valari system was evacuated. 12 colonies abandoned their homes. Fleets changed direction. Trade routes collapsed. Astronomers proved the star was stable, but no one returned. Because truth no longer mattered. Mattered was belief. And when Valari finally dimmed in naturally over centuries, the story lived longer than the science. They called it the first false supernova. A lie so powerful, it made the universe afraid of itself. For 100,000 years, the Konari had never spoken. They communicated through scent, vibration, and shared memory. Their society was perfect, pure. Then humans arrived and offered them language. The Konari refused. At first, but after centuries of isolation, one tribe accepted a human translator. And with language came ideas. Metaphors, sarcasm, untruths. Within 1 decade, the Konari fell into chaos. They split into factions, wrote fiction. Their elders begged Earth to take it back, to give them back their silence. But it was too late. They'd learned to lie, and with it, they'd learned to dream. It wasn't an attack. It's not a protest. Just silence. For the first time in recorded history, every human channel, frequency, and signal went dark. No messages, no broadcasts, not even a meme. The galaxy panicked. Aliens thought Earth had fallen, or worse, evolved. Entire fleets were sent to orbit Earth. But when they arrived, the planet was fine, peaceful, working, laughing, just not broadcasting. Because Earth had learned something new. Sometimes silence was the loudest lie of all. The galaxy realized it had become addicted to the human voice. In a distant mining colony, a child appeared. He knew everyone's secrets. He spoke every language. He predicted disasters days before they happened. Some said he was AI. Others claimed he was the child of a god. But when they searched for records, nothing. No birth, no DNA match, no fingerprints. Even Earth denied him. And then one day the boy stood before the Galactic Council and said, "I am the story you wanted to believe. I was never real." And with that, he vanished. A billion beings began to question if they were real either. They built a shrine, not to a god, but to a sentence. Etched in every language, carved into crystal. Orbiting the neutral moon of Halex, the sentence read, "We didn't understand what we asked for." It was signed by over 3,000 species. And every year more signatures were added. Pilgrims came not to worship but to confess, to admit they'd used human lies for power, for war, for control. And yet they still returned, because lies once learned couldn't be forgotten. And truth? The truth had become too expensive. A signal spread, unstoppable, buried inside old human transmissions, locked behind sarcasm, inside dead memes, and forgotten jokes, was a code. An apology. Written not to aliens but to humanity itself. A long confession encoded in irony. A final backup of the truth. When decoded, it revealed something chilling. We thought we were teaching lies, but we were teaching stories. Stories become real. It wasn't a virus, it was a mirror. And when the galaxy saw it when it understood, some laughed, some wept, and a few began telling the truth again, not because they had to, but because it hurt less than lying. It began with a message broadcast galaxy-wide. No riddles, no metaphors, no politics. Just 10 words from the humans. We see you. We know this ends. No lies. No one believed it at first, because truth had become stranger than fiction. But then, humanity did something no species had done before they declared war without deception. No propaganda, no false flags, no manipulation. They shared battle plans in advance, broadcasted every tactic live, and still they won, because truth in the hands of humans was a weapon sharper than lies. And the galaxy learned a terrifying truth. When humans lied, they played with you. But when they told the truth, they meant it. The Jekari Empire ruled 87 star systems. They thrived on shadow networks, misinformation, state-controlled media. But one day, a rogue archivist uploaded the truth. Not all of it, just enough. Financial records, war crimes, private transmissions, those secret histories. No one believed it until the Empire tried to deny it. And denial, in the age of lies, became proof. The people revolted not with weapons, but with transparency. They exposed their leaders, opened the vaults, aired every secret. Without lies to hold it together, the Empire melted. Not in fire, but in light. One world outlawed lies. At first it was a social experiment, then a revolution. Fiction was banned, metaphors erased. Art collapsed. Children were taught only what was verifiably factual. The planet became quiet, orderly, logical. But something else happened. People stopped laughing, then dreaming, then hoping. Because a world without fiction was a world without future. In desperation, they sent a signal to Earth. Give us back our lies. Humanity responded with a single upload 10 million hours of old Earth cinema. The transmission was illegal. But the first illegal screening brought half the planet to tears. It was a colony world once rich, then forgotten, cut off from trade, power, support. So they invented a story. We are gone. The planet is dead. They blacked out their beacons, faked tectonic failure, spoofed distress signals. For 10 years, they played dead. And during that time, they rebuilt in silence, grew stronger, united. And when the galaxy finally returned to scavenge their bones, they rose, stronger than before. Not angry, not violent, just independent. Because sometimes a lie isn't to escape truth, but to make a new one. There was one final story, hidden deep, forgotten by even the humans who started it, a fabricated event. A tragedy that never happened, a crisis that never was. But every major alien government believed it had, and because of it, they never invaded Earth, never tested human limits, never called humanity's bluff. The lie was small, almost meaningless. But it became the reason the stars stayed quiet. And when it was discovered, when aliens realized they'd been deceived for centuries, they didn't retaliate. They simply nodded. Because some lies were so beautiful, they deserved to be true. In the end, the galaxy did not collapse. It evolved. Lies had broken empires, created gods, ended wars, and birthed billions of stories. But what changed everything was not the lie. It was the choice. The choice to believe or not. To tell a story or stay silent. And humanity. Humanity stood in the center of it all. Not as rulers, not as gods, but as storytellers. Because humans had taught the galaxy not just how to lie, but how to imagine. And sometimes that was more dangerous than any war.